Hello, everyone. My name is Evan Kearns, and today I'll be talking about why Jamie Dimon is an influential leader in America. So, Jamie Dimon is an American banking executive who is currently the chairman and CEO of JP Morgan Chase, the largest of the big four American banks. And recently, some of his most notable positions outside of Chase include being on the board of directors at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Before we can get to know why Jamie Dimon is one of the most influential leaders within our country and throughout the world, we must understand his background. So, Jamie was born in New York City to children of Greek immigrants Theodore and Themis Dimon. He majored in psychology and economics at Tufts University, and after graduating, he worked with management consultant teams for 2 years before enrolling at the Harvard Business School. During the summer at Harvard, he got his first taste in the banking world where he worked at Goldman Sachs, where he observed a culture that was both brash and competitive. In 1982, he graduated from Harvard, earning a Master's of Business Administration degree as a Baker Scholar. After graduate school, Dimon worked for Sandy Weald, a friend of the family who would become his mentor. From 1982 to 1985, Dimon was Weald's assistant at American Express, and when Weald left the credit card behemoth in 1986, Dimon followed him to a consumer lending firm called Commercial Credit Company. After a series of promotions and mergers between Triple C and the competing banks, Dimon led the coalition to form Citibank. But after a rocky tenure with management here, Dimon actually left and was hired one day later by Bank One in Chicago. After 3 years of recouping Bank One of Chicago's financials, he orchestrated a merger with JP Morgan Chase, which allowed him to eventually assume the role of Chief Operating Officer and then eventually moved into CEO and President of JP Morgan Chase. Jamie Dimon's scope of importance within our world as a leader is very immense. As the head of the largest American bank, his decisions as a leader have long-lasting impacts on our world. One of his most recent acts as an influencer has aimed to provide affordable healthcare to his employees. As some of you may know, Amazon, Berkshire Hathaway, and JP Morgan Chase are forming a joint healthcare initiative aimed at lowering healthcare costs of the 1.2 million people they collectively employ. Together, the joint venture aims to improve efficiency within the industry by information sharing and pooling of resources. This venture hopes to change the philosophy of American healthcare forever by paving the way for hundreds of other companies to follow this venture if successful. This is an extremely admirable use of Dimon's power and resources since the current state of healthcare within our country is both immensely expensive for the consumer and is not effective as it could be for keeping Americans healthy. Although this venture may be one of the most influential moves in recent times, Jamie's role in the stabilization of the economic crisis of 2008 may be even bigger. When the failing bank of Bear Stearns was on the brink of ruin, Jamie Dimon made the call with the request of the U.S. government to purchase them. This risk he took to make sure the bank did not collapse and cause a chain reaction throughout the industry was immensely important. Furthermore, by aiding in the stabilization of the financial world during this crisis, he potentially saved millions of jobs throughout the sector by offering stability and optimism to the other struggling banks. In hindsight, his quick actions allowed for the 10-year expansion of the U.S. economy we are currently seeing. These two major decisions that Damon showed really show the true character behind his leadership style. Research published at the University of Oxford characterizes Dimon's leadership style as pragmatic of founder centrism, which is a founder's mindset and an ethical disposition towards a shareholder collective and an intense focus on exponential value creation. When looking to Jamie, one of his most famous interviews from the Wall Street Journal really stood out to me as a demonstration of the type of leader he is. He said, "Leadership is an honor, a privilege, and a deep obligation. When leaders make mistakes, a lot of people can get hurt. Being true to oneself and avoiding self-deception are as important to a leader as having people to turn to for thoughtful, unbiased advice. I believe social intelligence and emotional intelligence matter in management. EQ can include empathy, clarity of thought, compassion, and strength of character." I think this quote really shows Dimon's transformational leadership qualities. By putting value into qualities such as emotional intelligence and the well-being of his employees to promote the common good for all, it could not be more evident why this is his leadership style. Furthermore, I believe this quote really gets at who he is as a person and what he wants to accomplish. For being a very wealthy banker, this is very different from the culture he noticed at Goldman Sachs and his current culture today. In conclusion, during some of the darkest times in the industry, Jamie Dimon was able to navigate waters in an ethical and responsible manner and had more than just money in mind. With the true power he possesses over the financial world and banking industry, it is impossible to not acknowledge his importance as a leader in the USA.